All right, training camp, the next tentpole event for the Jets, right? I think it's probably a good idea to take a look at the depth chart, what it could look like in a couple months. Let's start with Dwayne Brown. We have him penciled in at left tackle. A couple reasons here. One, because that's the last place we saw Dwayne Brown line up, and he hasn't played any other spot since he was like a sophomore, he said.
Junior year, maybe sophomore year in college.
All right, so Robert Saleh said throughout the spring that he's going to be a hard out at that position. This is his 16th year in the National Football League. He's never started anywhere but left tackle, and he's played more than 200 regular season games there. Consider what he did last season, Selfless Warrior Award. He was playing with one arm, his left shoulder, couldn't use his arm, but he was out there gutting it out. But here's the guy you have to watch out for, Makai Beckham. We saw him his rookie year, so impressive. The last 2 years, unfortunate with the injuries. He transformed his body by getting in the pool. You're going to be getting in the pool a lot this summer yourself.
I hope everybody gets in the pool a lot this summer because it's going to be hot here in Florham Park. The other thing at right tackle is Makai Beckham, although he hasn't played the last 2 seasons except for like 40 snaps, week 1 in Carolina, 2021, the talent is there. I mean, you talked about his rookie year. So I'm very excited to see what the big ticket, the slim ticket now, do you like that nickname?
I don't know about that one. But he looks like he's ready to play some power forward basketball.
Yes, he does. The other thing with the tackle spot is it's kind of a crowded room outside of Dwayne Brown and Makai Beckham when you're talking about Max Mitchell, Carter Warren, the rookie, Billy Turner. I mean, the Jets have a lot of offensive linemen, and training camp's going to become very interesting very quickly.
And they added a former Patriots third-round pick here this offseason as well.
Yeah, Yadni Kajus, it's a great point. And
Billy Turner knows the system inside and out because he played under Hackett in Green Bay and last year in Denver.
Well, the thing with Billy Turner, versatility comes to mind because he started at tackle and guard. And when we shift inside to the guard spot, Laken Tomlinson, the left guard, Elijah Vera Tucker, the right guard, we understand that. I'm looking at the pivot because the Jets have Connor McGovern. They draft Joe Tippmann in the second round. Wes Schweitzer started at center for the Commanders. There are a lot of bodies there, but all 3 of those guys, between McGovern, Tippmann, and Schweitzer, could also play guard as well.
Yeah, the last couple seasons, McGovern's played more snaps on offense than anybody for the Jets. He re-signed a couple days prior to the draft. Then the Jets got the first center off the board in Joe Tippmann.
The New York Jets select Joe Tippmann, center, Wisconsin.
He's a monster of a guy at 6'6", but he bends well, and he's also good out in space. We place McGovern here right now because in order to win that job, if you're a rookie, you have to come out and earn it. I'll be watching Tippmann a lot here this summer. We saw him get some snaps at guard, which I thought was interesting here in the spring.
I thought it was very interesting. Same thing with Schweitzer at center. We saw Schweitzer take some first-team reps at center as well. So that's the position outside of tackle that I'm looking for. And if we're moving along the line here, let's go to the tight end spot. We have Tyler Conklin there. He had the most receptions, most receiving yards out of any Jets tight end last year. But the Jets have a very good tight end room between him, C.J. Uzomah, Jeremy Ruckert, Kenny Yeboah, and Zach Kuntz.
Which is a monster, freak, 6'8", a kid who ran track. He can do it all. But as far as that room is concerned, you're right. A lot of bodies. The guy I'm really going to watch out for in camp is Jeremy Ruckert because he did not have the benefit of having a real full offseason last year coming out of Ohio State with the foot injury. I thought he flashed out here this spring. Conklin and Uzomah, they gave the Jets more production at the tight end spot than this team has had in more than 10 years. Now you have a different quarterback throwing the rock, and I wouldn't be surprised if these guys put up bigger numbers this year.
I totally agree with you. I know we're about to talk about the receivers, but I think when a lot of the external media talks about the Jets' skill position players, they don't talk about the tight end enough.
I agree.
And I just think that we're going to see that because Tyler Conklin was great last year in training camp, and I think with the addition of Rodgers, his number is going to skyrocket. Let's move to receiver. Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard. McCole Hardman is in the slot right now, but that could be anybody. It could be Randall Cobb, and also the other guy that we didn't have room for on this depth chart in this graphic was Corey Davis.
All right, everybody loves talking about the receiver position. Last year, Garrett Wilson, 1,100 yards receiving, despite playing with 4 different quarterbacks. He's going to be playing with one of the best who's ever thrown the football. Watch out for 17 this year. I envision a 1,500-yard season for him.
Wow, okay.
Across the way, Allen Lazard, he also has a familiarity because He played in that system under Nathaniel Hackett in Green Bay. Last year, he was targeted by Aaron Rodgers 100 times. He was the #1 target. He'll enter a new spot this year because he'll be a new guy, but I think he'll be benefiting from all the attention that Wilson is going to receive across the way. And how about the slot position? Totally new look for the Jets this year.
Yeah, McCole Hardman has probably one of the best set of wheels in the NFL when fully healthy. And the Jets have had speed in the room before, but McCole Hardman is a different type of speed. I will say, though, the one thing about the receiver spot, when you start to think about who might not make the team, it's going to come down to special teams.
Yeah, I agree. The guy we're not talking about here is Randall Cobb, because another guy who's played with Aaron Rodgers in the past, and he thinks he can help this team out, especially on third down and inside the red zone. But Hardman is a guy who gives you a lot of versatility. He's scored touchdowns 4 different ways. And we should not forget about Corey Davis. Allen Lazard is 6'5", 227 pounds, but Corey Davis also is a big body receiver as well, 6'4", and I think he's one of the better run blockers in the National Football League. So it's an interesting spot. You mentioned the return game. Who is going to step up? Probably none of these guys. Hardman is a guy who could be the punt returner,
yeah, he's
right?
Definitely in the
But
mix.
I'm thinking about the kickoff returner. Who's going to be the guy? Xavier Gibson out of Stephen F. Austin. We got to watch him in camp because he's a guy who really flashed as a returner during his college days.
Absolutely. He has 4 touchdowns in 4 years at Stephen F. Austin. He has just an incredible story in college.
Deontay Spencer as well.
I was going to say Zonovan Bam Knight, which brings us to the running back spot because Breece Hall, when fully healthy, he's the guy. It's more about the guys behind Breece Hall.
Michael Carter, Robert Saleh was clear about this at the league meetings. He expects a bounce back year. I think people are kind of forgetting what he brings to the table. He's one of the best backs in the National Football League after contact. Zonovan Bam Knight, you mentioned his special teams prowess. He's a guy who flashed when he had the opportunity to be the guy last year. And then Israel Abanaconda. We like to call him Izzy. 5th round value. The Jets were flipping backwards here to turn in the card when he was still on the board there in the 5th round. Really special guy in terms of explosion. I think he's a good system fit.
Absolutely. I think, and Izzy, the crazy part is he's only like 20 years old. So the Jets have a great running backs room. It's going to be interesting to see how training camp all works out, which brings us to the head of the snake.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
It's the quarterback, but it's kind of obvious because that's the guy.
Aaron Rodgers has passed for more than 59,000 yards in his career, so he'll reach 60,000 here in green and white. I've been taken aback by the guys as far as what they've said about him out on the practice field throughout the spring, is that he kind of is making everybody in this team, in this building, in this organization raise their standards. And he talks about intentionality, going out there with purpose each and every day. Of all the things that he's done throughout his career, perhaps what stands out most to me, best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. Zach Wilson now becomes your number 2.
Right.
And you're thinking he's going to be able to learn a lot, absorb a lot from Rodgers here this year.
I'm very appreciative of him and how much he is willing to help me, because he really doesn't need to be that vocal. But he honestly, truly is, an amazing friend. And obviously such an amazing quarterback. And so I am learning a lot of football.
Absolutely. The Jets also have Tim Boyle, Chris Streveler on the roster. And last year the Jets had 3 quarterbacks. I would imagine this year it'd be 3 quarterbacks. It's going to be a question of, is there somebody that we haven't talked about, maybe not on the team, who could shake free? I mean, there's a lot of time before the 53-man roster comes out.
We got to watch those franchise records in terms of Rodgers, because we talked about it recently. Passing yards, touchdowns, single season marks. I think he's going to have them at the end of the day.
Just to set this table here, 4,007 yards. That is the franchise record for single season passing. 31 touchdowns, right?
Yep, 31 touchdowns.
Okay, so to me, are you setting that as the floor, or is that too lofty of expectations?
That's Aaron Rodgers you're talking about. That's not too lofty of expectations.
As opposed to what Hack said, and I love Hack, I think we're exactly where we need to be right now.
All right, so I think we did a pretty good job projecting the lineup heading into training camp, don't you think?
You know what I'm expecting from this offense? To take a similar jump that we saw from the defense from 2021 to 2022. I think this is going to be a top 10 unit here this season.